Tonight is not just another night. It's a sacred moment, a time when heaven leans closer and God Himself begins to move on your behalf. As you rest, the Lord fights the battles you cannot see. Battles in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit. Have you been lying awake, feeling the weight of worry, fear, or pain? Have you felt like your strength is gone and you don't know how to keep going? Tonight, you won't have to fight alone. God is stepping into your situation to bring peace where there's chaos, healing where there's pain, and light where there's darkness. This video is your invitation to let go, to breathe, and to surrender your night to the One who never sleeps. As you listen to this prayer, expect divine protection, supernatural peace, and the gentle presence of God surrounding your room tonight. Your rest becomes your victory. The night God goes before you tonight is more than a pause between days. It is a divine appointment. When the world grows silent, heaven begins to whisper. God is already walking ahead of you, clearing paths you cannot see, fighting battles you didn't even know existed. This is the hour when faith meets rest, when your surrender becomes His signal to move. Some nights feel heavier than others. Worries replay like broken records, and sleep hides behind fear. But this night is different, because the Lord of hosts has stepped into your story. His presence fills your room like warm light through stained glass, sacred, unstoppable. You are not forgotten. Every tear on your pillow has been counted by the One who never slumbers. Even now, He sends angels to stand guard over your dreams. No shadow can cross the threshold where His name is spoken. Whisper Jesus, and peace will answer. Maybe your battle isn't in the world around you, but in the thoughts that never rest. God sees that invisible war. He reaches into the noise of your mind and replaces fear with promise. Tonight, His hand presses gently over your heart and says, "Be still, I am here." Each breath you take is proof of His mercy renewed. While you inhale grace, you exhale control. Feel the rhythm of heaven syncing with your heartbeat. Nay, the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead now guards your sleep, wrapping you in perfect safety. Listen closely. The silence you feel isn't absence, it's preparation. God is arranging tomorrow's victory while you rest. Every closed eye becomes a doorway for His power to work without resistance. You don't need to fight. You only need to trust. So lie down in faith. Let the weight fall from your shoulders and the noise fade beneath His promise. Tonight, the King goes before you, and by morning, His peace will follow after you. Somewhere in the quiet, a new battle begins, the one God wins for you in the dark. The hidden battles God wins in the dark. When darkness falls, you are not abandoned to it. The night is not the enemy, it is God's canvas. While you sleep, His Spirit moves through unseen places, breaking chains, silencing accusations, and rewriting the stories the enemy tried to steal. Every silent hour becomes a declaration that His power never sleeps. There are battles too deep for human eyes, wars of the mind. Whispers of doubt, old wounds reopening when the lights go out. Yet, even here, God fights differently. He doesn't shout. He breathes peace. He doesn't wrestle for attention. He wins with presence. The dark doesn't frighten him, it obeys Him. Somewhere between your last waking thought and your first dream, angels begin to work. They guard the corners of your room. They carry your name before the throne. And though you may not see it, heaven is active in your silence. The very breath you draw is proof that victory is being written right now. There are things you try to fix in daylight that only God can heal at midnight. In this holy quiet, He gathers the broken pieces you hid so well and turns them into testimony. He heals memories, rewires emotions, restores what time and pain have stolen. What looks like rest is really resurrection in motion. You may think nothing is happening, but the unseen is never empty. God moves best where trust is complete. The same power that rolled away the stone still rolls away fear in your sleep. Every sigh, every tear, every whispered "help me" becomes a seed planted in His victory. And while your body rests, your spirit grows stronger. Heaven fills the atmosphere with renewal, like rain falling on dry soil. Tomorrow's peace is born tonight in the dark. You don't have to see it, you just have to stay under His covering and let faith do its quiet work. Because the darkness is not your prison, it's His workshop. It's where grace gathers strength and mercy learns your name again. By morning, the light will tell stories you never knew were written in your favor. And somewhere beyond the horizon waits another promise, the dawn of divine renewal. The dawn of divine renewal. When morning light begins to rise, it carries more than sunshine, it carries evidence. Every golden ray that touches your window is a silent testimony that God kept His promise through the night. The darkness lost its hold, and you opened your eyes to grace renewed. The world may look the same, but your spirit has changed. Something invisible has been restored. You wake not by chance, but by design. The same breath that sustained you while you slept now fills your lungs with new purpose. The anxiety that once weighed you down has loosened its grip, and peace begins to settle like a gentle tide. This is the mercy of a God who never clocks out. He works while you rest and renews while you wait. There is a reason Scripture says His mercies are new every morning. It's because every dawn brings a spiritual reset. The pain that shouted loud last night now whispers its surrender to the one who reigns. You rise not as a victim of the night, but as a vessel of victory. God has already gone ahead of you, preparing strength for what the day will bring. Look around you. Nothing outside may have changed, but everything within you has shifted. Your mind is clearer, your faith steadier, your heart lighter. That is what divine renewal feels like. It's quiet, but undeniable, like the gentle warmth after a storm. What was chaos yesterday becomes clarity today because God touched it while you slept. Every new morning is a prophecy of possibility. The same hands that fought for you in silence now guide your steps in light. The fear that followed you into the night cannot survive the dawn. It melts away before the presence of His peace. You are not walking into uncertainty. You're walking into fulfillment that heaven has already written. So rise with gratitude. Your bed became an altar. Your rest became worship. What others call ordinary sleep was a meeting between heaven and your soul. And now, every movement of your day becomes a continuation of that miracle. Renewal is not an event, it's a lifestyle that begins every time you surrender the night to Him. But renewal is not the end, it's preparation. God didn't just restore you to feel better. He renewed you to carry light into places that still live in shadow. The dawn you see is only the beginning of what He's awakening inside you. And beyond this morning lies another mystery waiting to unfold, the quiet power of divine protection that follows wherever you go. The shield of divine protection. Protection is not the absence of danger, it's the presence of God. You don't have to see His angels to know they are standing guard. The shield around you is not made of iron, but of promise. Every word He has spoken becomes a wall that no darkness can climb. You are surrounded by something stronger than fear. When you lie down, heaven activates its defense. The unseen realm becomes alive with purpose. Arrows of anxiety fall powerless because your name is written in light. God's presence does not visit, it dwells. Wherever you rest, His protection establishes itself like roots in sacred soil. You are safe because He said so. Many spend their nights fighting thoughts they cannot control. But God is teaching you that peace is also a weapon. The calm that fills your room is not weakness, it's authority. Every heartbeat becomes a declaration that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. The night obeys the voice of the One who guards your soul. Sometimes His protection looks like closed doors, unanswered prayers, or delays you didn't understand. Yet, in hindsight, you'll see that He was saving you from battles not meant for you. God's no is often his most merciful shield. His silence is not distance, it's defense. There are nights when the enemy tries to whisper lies, fear, guilt, or unworthiness. But even in those moments, God's truth speaks louder. You are his child, his beloved, his defended. The same blood that redeemed you still covers you. The enemy cannot accuse what God has already forgiven. Think of protection not as isolation, but insulation. The fire may burn around you, but it cannot consume you. The world may shake, but your foundation will not crack. Because your protection is not circumstantial, eternal. You are hidden in Christ, and his peace is the armor you wear. And as you rest under this divine shield, something else begins to awaken inside you. The peace that guards your night becomes strength for your purpose. God protects not only your body, but your destiny. And as you rise in his safety, another mystery unfolds, the deep inner healing that comes through surrender. The healing that comes through surrender. True healing begins the moment you stop striving. When you stop fighting to fix what only God can restore. His grace flows freely. Surrender is not defeat's divine alignment. It's placing your wounds in the hands of the healer who understands pain more deeply than you ever could. You've carried burdens that were never meant to be yours. The constant pressure to be strong, to smile, to appear okay. But tonight, God invites you to release that mask. Healing does not always come with noise. Sometimes it comes in stillness. There are wounds so old they no longer bleed, but they still ache. Memories that wake you in the middle of the night. Words that echo years later. God sees them all. He is not asking you to forget them, but to let him redeem them. Every scar can become a testimony when placed in his light. When Jesus healed, he often said, "Your faith has made you whole." He didn't say your perfection, your effort, or your worth. He said, faith. That same faith is alive tonight. It whispers that you are not beyond repair. The same hands that touched the blind and raised the dead now rest gently over your heart. Surrender means trusting him with the outcome. You may not see change immediately, but transformation begins where resistance ends. The potter cannot shape clay that refuses his touch. But when you yield, he begins to create beauty from the very pieces you thought were beyond saving. Every moment of surrender becomes sacred ground. As you release the pain, something unseen shifts in the atmosphere. The chains of anxiety break, the weight of shame dissolves, and hope rises quietly like dawn. Healing is not an event, it's a process that begins with one word, yes. And as you whisper that yes, heaven begins to move. The same surrender that heals also prepares you for renewal. God is not just mending your heart, He's reawakening your purpose. And in the stillness that follows, you'll hear His promise echo into the next moment. Behold, I make all things new. Behold, I make all things new. There comes a moment when yesterday must lose its power, when the old pain, the heavy memories, the endless striving must bow to a new word from heaven, renewal. God is not interested in repairing what was broken. He's in the business of creating something entirely new. Every morning is a resurrection disguised as routine. You are not defined by what happened to you, but by what God is doing in you. His mercy rewrites every line that shame tried to stain. The pages of your life are being rewritten by grace, word by word, breath by breath. What you lost becomes the soil where new life grows. The ashes are simply proof that the fire could not destroy you. God's renewal is not rushed. It unfolds in rhythm with your surrender. The same Spirit that hovered over chaos in Genesis now hovers over your circumstances. Where there was emptiness, He speaks fullness. Where there was confusion, He speaks clarity. His voice still creates worlds where there was once nothing. Sometimes new beginnings feel uncomfortable because they don't look like what you imagined. But God specializes in unexpected beauty. He takes detours and turns them into destiny. What feels like delay is often divine, design lining you with something better than what you prayed for. You might still see pieces of your past, but they no longer define your path. Renewal doesn't erase your story, redeems it. The same God who parted seas now parts your sorrow, creating a path of peace where fear once stood. Your spirit is steady, and your tomorrow is already prepared. When God says, "Behold, I make all things new," He means everything: your mind, your relationships, your faith, even your sleep. Nothing is too small to be restored. The same Creator who formed galaxies also forms peace within your heart tonight. Renewal is not far away. It's happening right now inside you. And as this transformation takes root, something deeper begins to bloom. It's not just healing, it's wholeness. You are stepping into a new rhythm of rest, a divine harmony between peace and purpose. And as your heart grows quiet, the promise becomes clear. This is the season to rest in His faithfulness and trust in His timing, resting in His promise. Rest is not laziness, it's confidence in God's control. When you rest in His promise, you declare to the world that your future is not in your hands, but in His. The same God who started your story will finish it beautifully. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to remain under His peace. Every promise of God is a seed. It may take time, but delay is not denial. Just because you don't see fruit yet doesn't mean the soil isn't alive. God works beneath the surface, preparing, strengthening, perfecting. You rest not because everything is done, but because you know He's doing it. When fear tries to return, remind yourself His word never fails. What He spoke over you will come to pass in His perfect timing. Rest is not the absence of motion, it's the rhythm of trust. Some nights, trust looks like silence. You may not hear an answer, but that doesn't mean He's gone. The teacher is often quiet during the test. Yet, even in His silence, He's watching over you. Every breath you take under His promise is an act of worship. You are living proof that faith still works. As you close your eyes tonight, remember this: God's promises don't expire. They wait for you to believe again. The dreams that seemed buried are still breathing in His presence. He is not finished with your story. You are still the one He chose to bless, still the one He defends in every unseen battle. Resting in His promise means waking without fear. It means facing the day with peace that can't be stolen. The same God who protected you through the night will walk beside you through the dawn. You have nothing to prove, just faith to keep. You don't have to strive for what grace already secured. And as you drift into rest, let this truth echo through your spirit: the battle is the Lord's, but the peace is yours. The night is no longer a place of fear, it's the holy ground where heaven whispers your name. If this prayer has touched your heart tonight, it's not by accident. It's a divine appointment. God led you here because He wanted to remind you: you are not alone, you are not forgotten, and you are still protected by His hand. As you close your eyes, let His peace continue to fill your room, wrapping every thought in the promise that He never sleeps while you rest. Before you leave this moment, stay in the atmosphere of faith. There are more prayers here waiting to speak life over you, more words that will heal what you can't express. Don't rush away from what God is doing. Allow His presence to linger. When one prayer ends, another begins, and heaven keeps moving on your behalf. So, if this message strengthened your spirit, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your testimony in the comments below. Your words may be the light someone else needs tonight. Turn on the bell icon and walk with us daily in prayer, because every night, heaven has something new to whisper to your soul.